Hi guys, welcome back to my channel Confessions of a Gaming Mum. So the video today is part 2 for the results of my Tomb Raider survey that I did a couple of weeks ago now. So hopefully you've watched the first part that I did, which was about the Tomb Raider games in general. The second part is actually going to be about what the fans would like to see with Lara. Again, just a reminder that this survey now is actually closed. We had on average about 440 people take part, but because some of the surveys, like the one I did on Twitter and the one I did on SurveyMonkey, you didn't have to answer all the questions, so a lot of people did actually skip questions. Hence there's a different number of people that answered different questions. So what I will do, again like I did in the last video, I will actually let you know the number of people that actually took part in each question before I tell you the results, so you can actually see, or you can gauge for yourself who answered what sort of thing. Again, I understand and I know that these surveys they weren't perfect, and if I could do them again and go back and just make them a lot better, I would, but they're done now, and I do think they give quite good answers to the quest, or to issues and themes that are always constantly going on in within the fandom. So yeah, I think we'll just jump straight into it. So the first question that I asked regarding Lara was, which of Lara's bios do you prefer? And again, I know I kind of made this quite limited because I only put 2 options on there. The 2 options I put were Lara's original bio by Core Design, where she was obviously born into aristocracy, born and raised, went to private school, was privately educated, had a very privileged upbringing, but then she was involved in a plane crash in the Himalayas. She was the only survivor, had to use her wits to survive. When she came back, she was a different person. Because of this new adrenaline lifestyle that she wanted to lead, she got disowned by her parents. She refused to marry some earl, I can't remember his name, but I know she refused to marry some earl, and her parents disowned her, and she basically relied on herself to get by. So that's gist of the original core bio for Lara. The updated Crystal one, because I actually got asked about why I only just put 1 for Crystal, because obviously they did 2. But to me they're kind of the same. There's not a lot that's actually different between them. It's still the fact that, like, yeah, she had a privileged upbringing. She lost her mum in mysterious circumstances. I don't know if that happens in the reboot, but I know she loses her mum. Her dad basically is obsessed with finding what happened to her and dies without ever knowing, and Lara basically picks up the pieces that her father left behind, so she's basically following in her father's footsteps. So there are obviously a few differences between the 2, but to me the gist is the fact that they follow on with her privileged upbringing, but that's about it. It's all about her parents in both the bios that Crystal came up with. So yeah, so those are the 2 options, the original core bio or the updated Crystal bio. I can tell you that 439 people actually voted on this question. I don't know, I don't think I'm surprised by this. I guess I kind of am, because I would expect more people to have preferred the other one, I guess. But yeah, I can tell you that nearly 76% would like to go back to the original core bio, where she was basically her own independent person. She didn't need her parents to get by. She was just an independent lady doing her own thing. So again, I'll put the pie chart up so you can see the results. So yeah, I'm quite surprised that there wasn't as much for Crystal, because obviously with the Crystal bio, if you've only played the reboot, then her bio kind of makes sense and you would prefer it over like the core one. That is what I would assume anyway. Yeah, I just always would assume that there'd be more pro Crystal people that, 1, did the survey, and 2 would prefer the Crystal bio. But especially because if you combine the 2, you would think that, well, it's 2 bios that are combined into one option, so you would think it would have more, or that's what I would think anyway. So I say I'm pleasantly surprised that the core one actually won that one. Okay, so the next question is, what do you think should happen with Lara's personal life in the game? So when I asked this question, it was more when you think back to the classic games, her personal life and sort of the people that she knew and things that had happened in her life, it was all kept in the background. The only way it was really mentioned was if you read the bio. Like I said, the only way you would actually know what happened in terms of with her parents and stuff is if you actually read her bio, which was in the manual. But then you have the crystal side, which is where it's made more central to the story. So it's all about Lara's personal journey, so to speak, and what's going on in her personal life and everything that's going on, like everything she, like having flashbacks with her dad and her mum and things like that. So yeah, so they were the two options: keep it in the background or make it central to the story of the game. 446 people took part in this survey, and I can tell you that 83%, just over 83% of people would like or would prefer her personal life to be kept in the background and not to be part of the story of the game. So that's nearly 17%, which again I think is quite a small number, actually want her story to, her personal life to be more central to the story. Again, I think that's quite telling when you look at, because it's kind of similar to the last question in terms of, well, it's kind of just a natural progression, I guess, in terms of from the last question, because again, Core's bio was a lot more simple, therefore it didn't need to be part of the game. It was literally just there if you wanted to know about it, sort of thing. It wasn't forced on you, so to speak. So yeah, again, I'm pleasantly surprised with that one. I actually thought there would be more people that would want this sort of formula that they have in the reboot to continue. Now this is an interesting one. I wasn't sure what I was going to get with this. Yeah, and I don't necessarily think I agree with it either, what people have said, but again, this is all about personal choice and what us as individuals would like to see. So this is about Lara's outfits, what you would like to see Lara wear in future games. So for this one, I gave a couple of options. So I gave the option of going back to the classic style, so like her leotard, blue vest attire and her shorts, backpack, sort of that basic thing. Then I give the option of needing to be practical, which was the one I personally would like to go with. I'd like that classic sort of style in there, but I also think it would be practical. Like I said, I never really saw the way she ran around in Tibet in her shorts to be very practical, even if she did have a bomber jacket on. But yes, I thought I'd add that option in, need to be more practical. And then I said about keeping the reboot style, which a lot of people point out they don't think is very flattering for Lara. It doesn't show off her figure, it's like it's trying to hide her figure. And yeah, some of it's just, it's not practical either. It's not as if it's like what she would need to wear to where she's going. Well, some of the stuff, like some of the outfits you get to wear, I mean, I guess her basic stuff is you will probably wear, but then there's other outfits you get that are just a bit silly and a bit random. And then I gave the option for all of the above, so you could have a mix of all of it, because again, I think that was one of the ones where I don't think people would go specifically for one particular option. So I thought if I gave all of the above, then you could definitely have a mix. People could choose what they got to wear in games like they do now. So there was 448 people that took part in this one, and again, like I said, I was quite surprised with the results on this one. Over 47% of people want to go back to purely a classic style. I guess that kind of shows the people that were actually answering the survey, so it was probably a majority of classic fans, because when you look at the reboot style got less than 6%, and I was quite surprised by that. My own personal one only got 9.5%, so yeah, that's me told. But all of the above was the next after back to classic styles, so people would like to have a mix. That was just over 37%. But yeah, the overall winner, obviously by a country mile, was going back to a classic style. I would think all of the above would be more fair, because then obviously you're pleasing everyone. But yeah, everyone seems to, or most people want to go back to a classic style, because that's nearly half of everyone that took part, when you think there was 3 other options to go for. So yeah, like I said, again, that one surprised me, because I thought it would be either, I thought there'd be more reboot style or more of a mix. But I guess it shows as well when you look at the results that we've had previously, where you've had more results for reboot, like signing for reboot stuff, that it seems to be that her reboot style in terms of her clothing isn't actually popular even with reboot fans. So I think that would be quite telling for Crystal to see those sort of results, that people would like to see more options rather than just what they've been going with. Now this one was a again, I think weren't controversial, but I think a lot of people are quite passionate about this option, and that is, what should Lara's hairstyle be? So the options I gave were braid, ponytail, or wearing it down, or all the above, basically. And I know there could have been more options, because I got called out for not putting the bun from Tomb Raider 1 in. But I think with me, I've always seen the bun as just there. Again, like this is just like my thought process at the time when I played the game, because obviously in the cutscenes she had a braid, but when you play she had a bun. So I was just obviously of the frame of mind that, well, they just do that because of the technology at the time, they couldn't do the braid. So I never really saw the bun as a separate hairstyle. I just saw it as, it was just the way it was because they couldn't put the braid in. But yeah, some people count it as an actual separate hairstyle, so that got added. But I have to say, unfortunately, sorry for those people that did want to see it in, but there was only 2 of you that actually asked for that option. So yeah, but a lot of people, I have to say, were saying they wanted to see options. So rather than, again, I think this was another thing I got critiqued on, but then I did put all of the above, so they can't exactly say that I didn't give more options in that sense. But a lot of people were saying they'd like to see all of them, or like the player being able to choose. I guess it's kind of like the same with the outfit. The players should be able to choose what they want. So if they want to go more classic, then they can go more classic. But if they want to stick to reboot style, then they can. So I think that, again, that's something that's quite telling for Crystal, if they ever were to watch this or see this, that fans just want more options. Like, give them more options and what they can do. So anyway, the results of this this part of the poll, other than obviously the bun only getting 2 people reply, 520 people answered this question. Obviously a lot of people have a lot of opinions on this on this one, and I can tell you that the braid got 54%, just over 54% of people want to see the braid return. 34% would like to see the ponytail. So it's quite close, especially, like I said, when you see all of the above only got less than 7%. So yeah, it's one of those weird ones where, obviously, to me, this shows more the divide with the reboot and classic fans, because obviously there's a much bigger sort of want for the ponytail compared to the braid, in terms of when you looked at like her bio and stuff, and there was only a really small amount of people that wanted the Crystal one. And I mean, it might just be that even if you're a classic fan, you just think the ponytail looked better, or it's more practical, or whatever, I don't know. But yeah, considering I got a lot of people that were quite vocal about the fact that they would like there to be an option, that didn't really get a lot of votes. So yeah, I just find that one really interesting. Obviously, I'm not surprised, I guess, because I thought there would be quite a bit of almost 50-50 between ponytail and braid. But yeah, I think, again, it's a really interesting one to see. I think it confirms, I think, just how passionate classic fans are about getting the braid back for Lara with that one. Okay, I think I got a lot of criticism for this next question as well from reboot fans who were a bit sensitive about how people describe reboot Lara. So this question was, what should Lara's attitude be? And I put show less emotion or show more emotion. So with this, in terms of, again, this isn't me trying to say like the Core Design's Lara was sort of fierce and strong and like just didn't cry and stuff like that, and then you've got reboot Lara that's just whiny and whimpery and cries at absolutely everything. What I was trying to say, because you get extremes on both sides. So you get the classic fans again saying about her being whiny and moany all the time, and I'm guilty of saying this, because there are some times when you're just like, girl, just shut up. But But yeah, so you have that side where the classic fans are saying how whiny she is and she's always emotional all the time, but then you also get the other side of reboot fans saying that like core designs Lara was an ice queen, which again I completely disagree with. But there definitely is a difference in terms of, because you get to see it's a younger, more naive Lara, and there's like things that she's going through that she's never actually been through before, so she's going to be showing a lot of emotion, and because she's going through things that are more personal to her rather than her just going on adventures, it's going to be hitting her emotions a lot more, so you're going to see a lot more emotion from the reboot Lara, where in the classic Lara she's older, she's more experienced, she doesn't take things personally. So, and because it's a job, it's not, like I said, it's not personal, it's just her career, it's her job, what she does, so she's not emotionally invested in anything. So yeah, so that was kind of the thing I was trying to say, that like showing less emotion, you want a more mature, more experienced Lara who wasn't like cutscenes of her sort of getting really angry and getting really upset and sort of things like that. Obviously she can show emotion, just not as much as what we've been seeing recently, and obviously the show more emotion is basically, yeah, just seeing her being like really raw and really vulnerable, like what we've been seeing with reboot Lara. So that's a long-winded way of me explaining the question on that one. So yeah, so we had 432 people answer this one, and the results are that nearly 74% would like to see less emotion from Lara. So that's just over 26% would like to see more emotion, so more like the reboot Lara that we've seen. Again, I think it's kind of that whole thing of it does show the sort of people that were taking the survey, because I do think this is something, it's one of those things that reboot fans like about the reboot. They like to see the vulnerability, they like to see the emotion from Lara, whereas classic fans would rather go back to what we had before. So yeah, so you have that side of it, but also I'm surprised that there's not more people wanting to see more emotion. Or it could be just the fact that, yeah, people like the reboot, but they just didn't want to see, like, have to stop all the action just for her to shed a tear for something. As I don't know, it's I'm mixed on in terms of what this survey has actually shown. I think that's why I would have preferred to have larger numbers, because I think it's easy to think that this survey is more classic bias because of the sort of answers we're getting. But if I was to have larger numbers, then you wouldn't have that sort of critique hanging in the background, that it is just that more people, a lot more classic fans answered. But again, that's something that I would like to do on a future survey, is just try and like really push it and just get more people to answer, so we can see that we could have a more fair survey. But like I said again, but even if this does show the percentage of what fans like actually took part, you can see some questions that so far that do show that even if they preferred a certain game, they would actually like to see things done differently by Crystal and not continue the way that they have been. But again, I'm digressing. Let's go to the next question. Okay, and again, I think people just take this as a dig at reboot, at the reboot games. But it's not. It's just the way it was just more me simplifying it, so it's like a yes/no answer sort of thing, to get more accurate numbers. So the question was, should tomb raiding be, and then I gave the option of should it be for fun or should it be an obligation to Lara. And for me, classic Lara, one of the first things she says in the first Tomb Raider is, I'm sorry, I only play for sport. She does those things. She goes and raids tombs because it's fun, she enjoys it, it's an adrenaline rush, and she loves doing that sort of thing. With reboot Lara, for the trilogy, it's always been about, it wasn't because she wanted to do it, it was because she felt like she had to, because she had to prove that her father was right. She had to prove what happened to, or she had to find out what happened to him. She had to defeat Trinity. So it was all stuff that she had to do it. It wasn't, and I'm pretty sure she says something like that in Shadow, like when I'm saying Earl. When Jonah has a go at her and says it's not all about you, it's all like, I need to do this, I have to do this sort of thing. So it's all about what she feels she has to do, not because she wants to do it. So that was kind of the point I was trying to make, but yeah, it might have come across a bit like, oh yeah, she sees it and I'm there. It wasn't meant to be like that, but I know a lot of classic fans tend to make those sort of remarks, and again, I've been guilty of that in the past. But with this, that was just kind of the thing I was trying to get across, is the fact that, yeah, that to me it just feels like Reboot Lara just sees it as an obligation. She's just doing it because her father did it and because she wants to find out what happened to him and stuff like that, while with classic Lara it was just all about the fun of it and the adrenaline rush and stuff. Anyway, so the amount of people that took part in that one was 447, and the results are that nearly 71% would like tomb raiding to be for fun. So that's just over 29% would like it to be an obligation still. And again, I think this is more sort of numbers I was thinking of with all the reboot stuff. But again, I'm surprised that people would want that to be the case, in terms of why wouldn't you want Lara to enjoy what she's doing? Why do you think she should just see it as a chore, or she should just see it as like something that she's forced into? Wouldn't you rather her do it because she enjoys it, because it's fun? That's I don't get that side. So yeah, I mean, like I said, each to their own. People want to do it that like would prefer that, then again, that's up to them. But me personally, I just don't see why you would want it to be an obligation to her. I don't see, unless these people are trolling, I don't know. But yeah, I always think it should be fun. It shouldn't be something that she's doing because she feels she has to do it, not because she wants to do it. So again, all personal opinion at the end of the day. This was a very interesting one. What should be Lara's default weapon? So I gave two options. Again, I've been knocked for not giving more options, or for not being able to say like no default weapons at all. She shouldn't have any default weapons. So obviously the two default weapons that I asked people to choose from were dual pistols and her bow. So 460 people took part in this one, and I think it's pretty much a landslide, well, almost a landslide. I think we've had a few questions in the past that have had a lot bigger in terms of percentages. Dual pistols, 87.5% people would like to see dual pistols as the default weapon, and just over 12% would like to see the bow as a default weapon. Like I said, I'm not surprised, and kind of am, because you hear so many people just talk about they want the dual pistols back, and not a lot of people are that fussed about the bow. So like I said, I think there's more people that are more passionate about the dual pistols than there are about people like passionate people about the bow. I think it's more people that are just like, that want to keep the reboot as it is sort of thing, and the same sort of formula, that are just like, no, it should be the bow. We don't want the dual pistols because that's a classic thing. I want to keep the bow because that's reboot. That's how I see it anyway. But yeah, I just think it just shows really that the dual pistols, it's like they're iconic to Lara, and I think the sooner that Crystal actually bring them back, the better. Especially when you look at the Avengers and see the Black Widow in the new Avengers game that Crystal are working on with dual pistols, but they talk about the fact they can't give them to Lara. So yeah, what's going on there? That one says it all, really. That the results on that one, that people want the dual pistols back, and it's about time, I think, that Crystal take heed and actually listen to what the fans want on that one, because it's just getting silly now, really. Okay, so the next question is kind of like a personal one for me. It's not one that really comes up a lot in fandom conversations. It's just one that I think would be nice to see, so I thought, out of curiosity, I'd like to see what people thought on this. So I put, would you like to see hand-to-hand combat in Tomb Raider games? Again, I think it's just something that you don't really see as much in, I mean, you never saw it at all, pretty much, in the classic games. You might see it like her kicking, like round, sort of kicking someone in the head in a cutscene, or like punching someone or whatever. It would always be in a cutscene. With the reboot, you kind of had the extra skills that you could get, but there wasn't really, it was like just using like a rock to smash someone's face in and stuff like that. I guess you had like the axes as well, which aren't necessarily weapons, so to speak, like a gun or a bow or whatever. So you had that kind of scrappy fighting in the reboot, but I'd like to see that sort of expanded on, so where it's literally like, she gets like into fisticuffs and kicking and things like that. I'd just like to see more of that sort of style of fighting in there, rather than just relying on guns and things like that. So on this one, 439 people took part, and nearly 75.5% actually said yes, they would like to see hand-to-hand combat in Tomb Raider, and nearly 25% said no. I don't really know if I'm surprised by that or not. I think I thought more people would like to see hand-to-hand combat, to be honest, because I just think it's a natural progression. You get it a lot in modern games these days. I mean, like I gave an example of Uncharted, and like you just watch like Chloe in Uncharted Lost Legacy, when she sort of kicks people in the face and stuff like that. It solidifies more Lara's kick-ass character. I think if she doesn't just rely on weapons to protect herself, if she actually relies on her fists, like her own physical strength to do it. So yeah, I'm kind of surprised there was more people that didn't want to see that. But hey ho, again, personal opinion. Okay, next question is, should Lara be able to interact more with her environment? And again, I just did like a yes/no thing, and I probably could have expanded on it more, but I can't really see how I could have done, in terms of maybe just explaining a bit more as to what I was meaning. Because for me, I think she could interact more with her environment in the classics, because you could spend ages trying to figure out which block like you could climb on next, or like which ledge you had to get to that wasn't going to kill you and stuff like that. Where with the reboot, it's more, there's a lot of invisible walls, like you wouldn't be able to climb that cliff face, so to speak, unless you see a specific type of texture on it where you can dig your axes into it, sort of thing. You don't really have that feeling that you could go absolutely anywhere you want like you could in the classics. I mean, obviously in the classics you couldn't go everywhere you wanted, but it still felt like you had that opportunity. I mean, you could go most places and probably die, but but you had that ability, you had that opportunity, where I think in the reboot it's quite obvious where you can and can't go. And also you have like the white ledges and stuff like that in the new ones, although it was great in Shadow being able to remove that as an option, because it did then feel like it opened things up more for you, because then you had to discover where you could and couldn't go if you clicked on that option. Otherwise, obviously, I can't even remember was it traversal or something? I can't even remember, I need to play it again. Where you could click on and off white ledges and stuff like that, so you could see where you had to go next, or where you could actually climb up onto. Anyway, so the amount of people that took part in this question was 433, and I'm not surprised by this. I guess I probably would have thought less people would have said no, but yeah, nearly 97% of people said yes, they would like to see Lara interact more with her environment. So yeah, in total, like I said, 433 people took part, 14 people said no, they didn't want her to interact more with her environment. So that's a very small number of people that think she's fine as she is, so to speak. Again, I guess that shows that even though, yeah, you have reboot fans who love the reboot, they still would like to see more interaction and being able to get lost more within the environment. So again, hopefully that's something that Crystal can take on board from fan feedback, whether or not they will, because they're not that sort of company. They prefer to do their own thing. But we won't get into that. Right, so the next question, again, I got criticised for this one not being more descriptive or whatever about it. It was, how should Lara's moves in game be? And I basically said more gymnastics, or like she should be able to, her moves should be more like she should have a more gymnastic style. So obviously backflips, like more extended jumps and things like that. She can just, yeah, she has more flexibility, more ability to jump further, to jump higher and do different things like that. And obviously jumping around while she's shooting and different things like what she did in the classics. Or another one was Lara's moves in games should be more realistic in terms of how they are in the reboot, in terms of she can't jump very far, she can't climb up very high without the aid of like her axes or anything. She doesn't have a lot of strength and things like that. So that was my, again, like it was quite restrictive, but then I don't really know what else I could really how else I could really explain it or how I could expand on it. I mean, you can tell me in the comments what you would have preferred to have seen on that question, but again, I'm trying to make it that it's a very simple yes, no, this or that sort of questionnaire, rather than making it more detailed, and therefore you can't really read the results as strongly, I don't think, if you put more detail in. But yeah, anyway, 435 people answered this question, and 78%, just over 78%, would like to see more gymnastic moves return to Tomb Raider. So that's nearly 22% would prefer a more realistic style. Again, I think this is showing more the split between the classic and the reboot fans, because I do think reboot fans prefer the style that they have now, rather than going back to what she was before. I don't think I'm surprised by if anything, I thought there would be more people saying more realistic, to be honest. But again, I guess that just shows the split in terms of between classic fans and reboot fans really that took the survey. So yeah, moving on. Okay, so this is quite a big question, but unfortunately I did a boob on this one. Because Twitter is a bit shit in terms of when you try to do a survey on there, you can't give a lot of options for the answers. So I didn't actually end up giving options. I just asked people for people's opinions, and I completely missed it on the SurveyMonkey survey. So I missed out on potentially 40 views on that one. However, Google, I managed to get quite a few, luckily. So yes, quite a few people answered it. So if you haven't guessed yet, this is the final question, by the way. So this is the question: who should voice Lara? And I'm trying to remember. I think I basically listed every single actress that has done Lara so far in terms of in-game. So I gave Shelley, Janelle, Judith, Keely, Camilla. And yeah, so that was, I think it was 5 options, and then I just basically said other, and then people could name who they would like to see. So this one was quite very open in terms of what people could say. And I have to say, I'm surprised but not much by the results on this one. Unfortunately, the amount of people that actually voted, like I said, because of Twitter being stupid and me being stupid and not putting it on SurveyMonkey, there was only 272 people that voted on this one. But I still think that's quite impressive, considering I only managed to do this right on one version of the survey. So basically, the results are, like I said, 272 people, and the overall winner is quite split. Quite a lot of different options that people put in, but they only tend to be like one person got this and one person got that. There's not many like different ones that got multiple, I guess, other than the biggest one that didn't, or the biggest one that did have multiple votes against was no preference. There's people that just really don't care about who comes next. And then the next one to that is actually Alicia Vikander, but obviously I don't think she would actually do the voice in the game. I think she'd just rather prefer to do the films because it's more money. But yeah, so in terms of the voice actresses that I gave the options for, it was Keely Hawes that actually came out on top with just over 24% of the vote. Then it was Janelle, who is one of my personal favourites. So it was Janelle and Shelley are my personal favourites. This is one I'm quite disappointed with, but I guess I'm not surprised at all, again, because it's the reboot fans vote, and that's Camilla, who, like I said before in the video, she's lovely, but she's just not Lara to me. But again, she's reboot Lara to a lot of people, therefore I can see why she got voted for. And yeah, Shelley got nearly 15.5%, followed by Judith Gibbons, who got just over 15%. So yeah, I'm surprised that Keely got it, but I think that's just because of my own personal preference. Again, I love Keely as an actress, but she's just not Lara to me. She's too posh. Too posh and a bit too old, I think, her voice. So for me, it was either Janelle or Shelley. Obviously Janelle, realistically, we know would never do it, because I think she says she's sworn away from doing Tomb Raider ever again. There's not a lot of difference when you look at it, really. Like when you look at it on the pie chart, obviously I'll have the pie chart on the screen. When you look at it, they look quite even. But obviously when you look at the figures, there's obviously a little bit of difference in the figures, but when you look at actually on the pie chart, there's not actually that much difference. So I think it just shows, again, this isn't just a reboot versus a classic fan. Also, you've got Legend, Anniversary and Underworld as well brought into the mix, but also what era of classic you'd like to see, in terms of, would you like to go back to the original with Shelley? Would you like to go back to Angel of Darkness, like with Janelle? And would you like to see Tomb Raider 2 3-star with Judith? And then obviously you've just got like Camilla with her 18%, because she's been the only reboot Lara so far. So yeah, those are the results. Whether or not they're what you thought you'd see or what you would like to have seen, please let me know below. It'd be interesting to see what people agree with. Obviously, again, let me know if you voted and who you voted for. Let me know if you'd like me to do another survey. Obviously, I won't do one immediately, because obviously I think people will get a bit sick of doing them, but I might do them like next year or something. Maybe when they're actually announcing that there's going to be a next Tomb, or officially it becomes known that there's a new Tomb Raider, it would be something I could take up then, because obviously then you've got the hype for it, and then people will be more vocal about what they want to see. And obviously I would try and make the questions a bit better with more options and stuff. If I start working on them now, maybe by the time I actually do release it will actually be a decent survey. Yeah, let me know if you'd actually like to see another survey in the future, and yeah, and let me know if you did vote, who you voted for and stuff. And like I said, I'd like to get like a discussion going with people. No arguing, I don't want any fighting, like classic versus reboot versus LAU. I don't want any of that. I want a nice, respectful conversation about what people like to see, and yeah, just things like that. So yeah, thanks if you did take part, thank you very much for taking part in the survey. Like I said, I would like to get more people involved next time, so you never know, fingers crossed we might actually be able to do that next time, but we'll see. What else did I want to say? Oh, in case you weren't aware, I've started doing live streams on a Sunday. I've not got a fixed time that I do them just yet, but it's normally about midday, early evening British time, like GMT time. But I always post about it on social media and stuff, so make sure you do follow me on social media if you're interested in watching my live streams on Twitch. I'm currently playing Final Fantasy VII, the remake, because I've never played a Final Fantasy game before, even though my husband works for Square Enix. So yeah, this is a very, very new experience for me. So it might be interesting for you to come along. If you'd be interested in seeing it, then obviously do. Yeah, so follow me on social media. Also, next Friday, hopefully, if I can finish thinking of questions, I am going to do a live gaming quiz on my Facebook page again, so follow me on Facebook to if you want to take part in that. So I'll be doing Facebook Live, and I'll be asking questions. It's just for fun. There's no like prize at the end of it, just your own smugness that you know so much about gaming. I'm looking to do it, like I said, Friday night. It'll probably be about 8 PM GMT time. So again, I'll be posting it on my social media in terms of when I actually do it, but also leading up to it, so as a reminder. So yeah, keep an eye out for that if you really want to join. It'll be fun to. Like I said, I just want to do it for fun. I think it'll be nice, seeing as we're all in lockdown at the moment. Just nice to do something to take our mind off it a little bit on a Friday night. So yeah, come along if you can. It'll be great to see you. And on that note, I'm going to say love you guys, and I shall see you all in the next video. Bye.